Hello, and welcome to another episode of Workplace Wizards, your podcast about the effects of knowing human behavior styles and how that can actually help you. I'm your host Arnell Smalls, and I'm tagged along here with Gavin Wong from the UK. And today we even have a special guest. But before we get that started, Small World Solutions is our producer, and Small World Solutions is a consulting firm that helps provide interactive trainings to help improve your workplace environment. So it's all about your HR people. We're going to help you improve your workplace environment. So today's special guest is no other than the Mr. Arnold Smalley Jr. And that's not me.
That's right. There we go.
How are
There
you
we go.
doing, Mr. Smalley?
I'm doing great this morning, Arno.
This is my pops, dad, Arnold Smalley Jr. The other day, we were just having breakfast. We were having breakfast in the morning, and while we're having breakfast, I'm trying to explain to my dad that, hey, in my business, what me and Gavin do is we do this human behavior styles. We do this training, and my dad said, "Oh yeah, we did that," and I'm like, "What? As old as you are, you guys did this?" So tell us a little bit about how that conversation went, Dad.
Well, you asked me about this. I said, yeah, we did this. I even ended up teaching a little bit of this, but approximately 30 years ago, the government was closing bases all over the world, actually. Army bases, Navy bases, Air Force bases, Marine bases. And we, Newark Air Force Base in Ohio, got hit with the base closure notice. So we had to formulate, we went out and checked out several different organizations to help us toward our base closure.
Right.
And we selected a team that was led by Englishman. That was a fantastic guy.
An Englishman?
Englishman. He was from
Are you
the
sure?
UK. Yes.
Oh,
very strong accent, stronger than
yeah.
Gavin's accent. But yes, and he was very good. And he started out talking about building teams and getting people together to work as a team. And he said, one thing you notice in the government, the military, is that the generals, the colonels, the majors, all sit in a room, and almost all the people in that room are what they call D's, dominant people.
yes.
That want things done their way, type thing. So he said that was the reason why the UK, United States, and other nations have trouble getting things done, because every person in the room's a D and they want it done their way.
So we can relate to that. We can relate to that.
He was trying. His point was trying to put teams together that had a mixture of D's, I's, S's, and C's.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we end up doing at Newark Air Force Base, and we put together teams, and we really it made a big difference. And the people that took the assessment that were either D's, I's, S's, or C's. They said, yeah, I'm that way. I'm that way. I'm an I, I'm an S. I said, and it turned out really well, because we put together some good teams and got a lot of things accomplished, and the base closure went smoothly.
Okay. So once you guys did the assessments and people said that you were basically put in the category of an I or S or C or D, do people gravitate to that? Do they feel that that was a true?
Yes, we had a lot of people that said, well, that's where I am. I'm that kind of person. I believe that way, whatever. And we had one guy, in fact, our base commander, his assistant, I should say, said there was one guy said, that's a bunch of bunk, and he was all against it. And then finally he sat down and thought about it. He says, raised his hand and says, hey guys, I want to apologize. I am that way. That's what I am. I'm a S and blah, 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 blah. And he kind of came around, and then he ended up being a great person to help the team that he was on.
Right.
He was a very sharp individual, and he put some stuff into the team that they really did a good job.
Okay, cool. Gavin, you got anything to add with that?
I think that's brilliant. I have noticed, though, that there's not much hair between the three of us, so we probably
That's correct, Gavin. I'm the older guy, and I
well, you have an excuse, not me and Smalls. But I know that's brilliant what your father said there, because it really reflects what happens in policing now in the UK, because with the policing's always about outcomes. We want to make, we want to arrest people, we want to stop crime, reduce crime, all that kind of stuff, and make it better for the public. So in order to do that, we performers always focus around outcomes, but it conflicts with actually some of the values that policing has, because policing is also about trust and confidence. We want to be fair. We want to treat people with respect, all that kind of stuff. Now, in order to do that, you have to create an environment where people feel psychologically safe. They're able to make mistakes, be authentic, all that kind of stuff. But if you're just driving people with results, and what happens is you promote people who are only driven by results, as is described in the armed forces. And therefore, these people are only about results. They don't worry about their people. So all that kind of stuff that we want to encourage leaders to be, in terms of motivating them and encouraging to help people and all that kind of stuff, kind of gets put on the back burner. So I think it's massive. It happens in the military, happens in policing. And
Right.
the thing about the DISC stuff for me is that if people understand exactly as just been described where they are on that profile, they can understand that and actually reflect better and actually help support their team better. And your performance will go up anyway. You don't need to measure performance because it will go up. So I think it's an interesting point that we're having this discussion 30 years later on, and organizations haven't really moved on.
Right. Well, let me put a little insight into some of the things that my pops was saying and Gavin was saying. When you look at the DISC formula, it's categorized in like 4 quadrants, where it's separated by your task orientation or your people orientation. So it's either your task oriented or your people oriented, and that's what separates the basically the I and the S's from the D and the C's. And then it's more on a quick thinking and wanting getting things done and moving in a fast direction, and that separates your D and your I's from your S's and your C's. So it makes those 4 quadrants. And what is like what they were talking about was those people like the D's, or that top right quadrant or top left quadrant, whatever you want to say. Those are the individuals that are fast thinkers and they're task oriented. And what Gavin and my father were saying is they don't really see the people as the issue. I mean, basically, they don't care enough about their feelings, or not necessarily that they don't care, but they don't put that into their thinking process. You know, they want to get the task done, they want to get it done, and then they want to get it done quickly. And those are your D's, which is that dominant style. And, you know, they're very determined and they're very direct. And those are the ones that were basically your directors or your people that were leading those. Right. It's and the same thing in the police force. Mm-hmm. Gavin can attest to it. Same thing happens in the police force. Most of your supervisors and people that are in charge are those D's, and they're more worried about task orientation than they are people orientation. So their goal is to get things done. Let's get the job accomplished. Let's get things done. And that's some of the things that you were saying. What Small World Solutions does is we come into organizations and we help people work through that. And how can the D's work better with the I's and the S's and the C's, and how you say the diversity of our human behavior styles can be a plus when it comes to your business organization. What do you say to that,
yeah.
Gav?
No, I think that's perfect. I mean, I think the thing about the D's, as you described there, is that they tend to be the more senior people, and sometimes that works really well because the task is obvious and they know they've got the knowledge. But some things, particularly around change management, when you're going into something new, or they don't actually know the answer, but as they're task oriented, they just say, right, do it this way, because they think they have to know the answer. Of course, actually, the people below them probably got better ideas, and it will be more efficient and effective if you allow them to do it. But because they're D's, they don't want to do that. So it's very difficult. It's a bit like the David Marquet turned the boat around, where he just intent-based leadership, where you actually empower people to make decisions and help out. You're far more effective, I think, if you can do that. But yeah, very interesting.
Very, very good. Well spoken, Gav. Because in the one of the things that I do now, even in our I'm a director of our food distribution for our church, and we serve like 600 families every food distribution, and our volunteers come there as volunteers. They don't get paid, but you know, I'm in charge of it. So when I first started, it's like, it's my way. We're going to do it this way. And then I started saying my emotional intelligence says, hey, let's get a little bit more feeling. And so now we have input from every single person. Well, what do you think about this? So how can we do it better? Because our motto is this: today we're better than we were 6 months ago, but 6 months from now we want to be better than we are today. And the only way to get that accomplished is having the input from every single person. So, because like you said, anybody can come up with an idea that may be better than the way you're doing it now. So those are some of the things to concentrate.
Yeah, but that's brilliant. But the key for that one is the fact that you're prepared, knowing you're a high D, you're prepared to ask people, and not only ask them, listen to their answers.
Right.
Because actually, you can ask people, and you can ask 100 people. But if you don't listen to them, then that's not
true.
so you're not embracing it. But at least you probably, because you're aware of what drives you and what you are, and actually to be able to be that emotionally intelligent and understand that you can go against that is really good. And that's, you just demonstrate that you've actually improved how you do it. It's fantastic. That's a good example. That's a great example.
Another problem that leaders are having, see if you can understand this one. Another problem that leaders are having is let's say they have a function that needs to get done, and they get it done and they do it well. So now that leader says, okay, I have the method and the way to do it. This is the way we're going to do it. And they got a whole new team now.
Yeah.
Well, you can't just use the same method to motivate a different set of employees because of their human behavior styles. They might be all S's. And if you're talking to them like C's or D's or I's, then you're not motivating them because you're not speaking to them in their language. And that's where we come in and help people understand that they can speak a different language while still speaking English.
And on that, I mean, you always come back to English because we do it properly. That's why 30 years ago you had that example. But the thing you raised there is really important, because many people will get promoted, because they're successful. They can do what they can do well. So when they get promoted and they're managing other people, they want people to manage the teams how they did it. But there might be different characters. They might not be able to do it that way. But that's how they're trying to drive them. So it's just it's fascinating. I think it's brilliant to have that awareness, so you can just understand what drives people and what motivates them, what they fear, all that kind of stuff is fantastic. Because actually the performance, if you worry about their folk first, the performance will always come. It's inevitable.
That's true. That's true. Well, with that being said, Gavin, we're going to have to close out our podcast for today. And this is Small World Solutions podcast called Workplace Wizards, podcast number 20. And this was the effects of knowing human behavior styles and how it can actually help your workplace environment. All right. I'm Arnold Smalley from Small World Solutions. And if you want to reach out to us, please contact us at smalley@smallworldsolutions.net, or you can give us a call at 754-971-7007. And with that, we're going to say goodbye, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us today, Pops. You got a closing word for us?
No, I'm just thankful to be here and see Gavin again. It's been many, 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 many years since I've seen you, Gavin.
Too many. We'll meet next time on the golf course, though. That'd be better.
Oh, yeah, I would like that. I said me and my youngest son, Aaron, will take you two on and we'll kill you.
Oh, Lord. Anyway, Gavin, on that, we're going to say goodbye, man. See you later.
Bye now.